The Eagles dominated the Commanders in the NFC Championship game last year, and I want to watch some of this film and some of the excellent execution by the Eagles' offensive line in this ball game. Starting with this play here, I want to highlight Mekhi Becton. So if you look pre-snap, the Commanders have 5 men pressed on the line of scrimmage. It looks like the Eagles are just going 5 for 5 money with the back sifting and if there's a 6th rusher picking up that man. And the Commanders do a good job disguising this pressure here by dropping Luvu, who's Lane Johnson's responsibility, and they bring Bobby Wagner as well as drop the defensive end on the left side. So they're only rushing 4, but with the Eagles' initial assignments, they don't block Bobby Wagner initially because Mekhi Becton's responsibility is this 3 tech here, and Lane Johnson's is Frankie Louvu on the outside. So that 3 technique crosses Johnson's face, Johnson picks him up, and then Saquon Barkley has the responsibility of sifting through and picking up Bobby Wagner on this play, which is a tough assignment one-on-one for the running back to block. But Mekhi Becton does a good job here recognizing that this 3 technique is going to cross Lane Johnson's face and try to rush in that C-gap. Johnson doesn't need as much help as Saquon would in protection. So Becton does this smart football thing here and works back to Bobby Wagner as Saquon gets a piece, and then Becton comes and cleans him up there. So I think this is a really smart play by Mekhi Becton here, and the Eagles are able to give Jalen Hurts a lot of time to get the ball out here, and he completes a pass to A.J. Brown. So starting off hot, some good protection by the Eagles here. They execute well in protection, and the Eagles are able to pick up a big play in the air. Jordan Milada was PFF's highest graded offensive tackle in 2024, and it's due to plays like this. If you notice here, he gets a speed to power rush from Dante Fowler, and Fowler plays right through his chest. If you look at Milada's inside arm, he doesn't even land it. He's not stopping any of the momentum that Fowler's carrying into his chest because his hands miss. But despite being in this disadvantaged position, you see that he's still able to anchor down, refit that inside arm, and completely stop the momentum of Fowler, giving Hurts enough time to get the ball out. And it's plays like these where you see why Milada is so highly touted by PFF. His ability to win to the spot with an efficient set, be in a good position for this rush, and even if his hands aren't perfect, we've seen his ability to recover, to anchor and deflect from disadvantaged positions, and you see it again on display right here. So these PFF grades that he's getting, they make sense when you see plays like this on tape where he's able to anchor down despite being in a position with not a lot of leverage. So good rep by Milada here, giving Hurts time to get the ball out. And it's just an example of why he gets such high grades and is so highly touted. The Eagles are able to pick up a big chunk on the ground here on this GT counter play. And I want to highlight the offensive line here because they do a great job of executing. Starting with the play side here. Throughout the NFC Championship, there was a developing story about Landon Dickerson. First of all, he started at center because Cam Jurgens was injured. I think he had a back injury or something like that. So Dickerson slotted in at center, and Tyler Steen moved to the starting left guard position. And at some point in the first half, Dickerson got injured. You see him hobbling around here on this play. He got hurt. That left knee got braced up at some point, and he definitely lost a little explosivity. But first guy I want to highlight on this play is him because he executes a back block here, and he's definitely physically limited, but you're able to see that he does a good job getting enough of 93 here to get the play going, and huge props to him for playing with that big of an injury in a game where your knee's jacked up and there's not really anything you can do about it because the other guy's injured, and Cam Jurgens ends up coming into this game, but Dickerson was a warrior here, just playing on that hurt knee. Becton also does a good job on this play. Essentially, he has a back block too. The Eagles are running this to an eagle front. So Becton is responsible for that zero technique there and essentially has the same block as Dickerson. And then Lane Johnson does a really good job on the play side here as well. He's down blocking on 96 and does a really good job getting 2 feet in the ground there and a solid fit. He's got his hat on that inside shoulder pad or traditionally aiming point would be the hat to the V of the neck there of that defensive end there, and he's able to drive him vertically and really open up a hole for the pullers to first kick out and then insert into, and Saquon with that opening is able to make it work and rip off a big gain. So good job by Lane Johnson on the play side here with that down block on 96. First with his technique, getting a good fit, strong first two steps, and then being able to drive 96 vertically to open up. And then I think this is a really good job by the pullers too. Tyler Steen first on the kick out. We mentioned him before, getting his first start in place of Cam Jurgens, kicks out Frankie Louvu and is able to seal him off in that play side C gap. And then Milada inserts through for Bobby Wagner, gets a good fit on him, and tosses him around a little bit, uses that size and strength, tosses Bobby Wagner, displaces him a few yards backwards, and then Saquon is able to run through that big gap and rip off a big run for the Eagles here. This is a good gain on first. Now, in a historical context, this NFC Championship game will always be looked at as a blowout where the Eagles dominated the Commanders en route to the Super Bowl. But I want to go over this situation here. It's 4th and 5 on the Washington 45. There's 2 minutes left in the half. The Eagles are up 2. It's 14-12. And if the Eagles are stopped here, Washington could potentially get the ball and take a lead. Now, like I said, this game ended up being a blowout, so maybe it wouldn't have mattered, but this play had the potential to change the outcome of the game here. And it's a huge play. The Eagles are able to complete a pass down the sideline to A.J. Brown. But I want to highlight an unsung hero on this play. You hear a lot about Saquon Barkley for obvious reasons. He's a fantastic running back. He rushed for over 2,000 yards last year. But look at him blocking Frankie Louvu in pass protection. The Commanders rush 5 on this play, and Saquon's responsible for this 6th rusher from the second level, and he does a great job. It's not a perfect rep. Louvu eventually beats him, but Saquon does just enough, getting an initial fit on Louvu and then digging him out and deflecting him as much as he possibly could to give Jalen Hurts enough time to get this ball off. And if Saquon doesn't do this here, Louvu gets a sack, the Eagles get stopped. They don't have this huge completion to A.J. Brown where they end up scoring a touchdown. And the whole trajectory of this game could be different. So this is an all-star rep here. We talked about Landon Dickerson before, how he was working through a knee injury in this game because Cam Jurgens was unable to play. He was also starting out of position at center, and I think he does a really good job on this play side single. The Eagles are running tight zone here. He does a really good job of straining and displacing this, it looks like a head-up 2 technique as he works up to number 1 on the play side here. You see how hobbled he is as he works into the hip of 93 and then works up. You see that explosivity and that athleticism is a little hampered by that knee, but he's still able to grind it out and drive 1 vertically to open up a seam for Saquon Barkley to run through. And all you can do is commend that level of grit and determination to play through injury there. I think other strong blocks here, Lane Johnson does a good job. The Commanders give backside pressure from Frankie Louvu here. Johnson does a good job of slowing himself down and trying to drive 92 vertically. He's patient and is able to use his momentum against him to work him vertically. He does a good job being patient there and recognizing that backside pressure. So Eagles gain a few yards on this tight zone play, but great job by Landon Dickerson here working with Tyler Steen, who also does a good job displacing 93. This is a pretty vertical single here. They both do a good job on this play. So Dickerson's grinding it out, and all you can do is commend that level of effort in the NFC Championship game trying to get to a Super Bowl. All right, this is going to be the first of 2 parts. We're watching Jordan Mailata work against Dorance Armstrong here, and he actually lets up a sack to Armstrong on this rep. And I want to go through some of the things that go wrong for Milada here and why Armstrong is able to edge him and end up getting a sack. First of all, I think the set is good. I think he's in a good position in relation to Armstrong here. He's got a good relationship to the quarterback with his numbers facing the back of Jalen Hurts. I think the issue is with his hands, and he's potentially a little too patient here because as he's waiting, he's square, so he's in a good position, but as he's waiting to throw his hands and try to deflect Armstrong up the field, he actually opens up his hips all the way, and you never want to be in a relationship where your numbers are upfield and in relation to the quarterback. You want to have your numbers facing the quarterback. So based off just that, his positioning is all off, and then he's not able to get a strong enough deflection with his hands. It could potentially be because Armstrong is already at his hip when he's going to throw. In combination with him opening up, you're just not able to generate as much power from that position and deflect that outside shoulder pad up the field. So he's in a bit of a compromised position due to the patience he has with his hands. So he could either throw his hands earlier, try to deflect Armstrong in that way, or take a different angle in his set. But with the patience that he has here, it ends up kind of biting him when he goes to throw his hands a little late, and Armstrong at that point is already at his hip level and is able to bend pretty easily and get to the quarterback here. And I said this is the first of two parts because we're going to watch another rep where Milada has a similar technique, but he's able to execute it a little bit better. So tough rep there. Definitely rare for Milada to get beat that cleanly. But he does there. Dorrance Armstrong's able to get the sack, and we'll see what Milada switches up on the next rep to not let this happen again. All right, this is part two here where Milada has a lot better rep against Armstrong here, and it's pretty similar the way it plays out. Armstrong works a speed rush again, but there's a few things that Milada does here that he didn't do last time that end up leading him to success in this rep. First of all, I think Milada gets a better jump off the ball here. He's definitely gains an advantage in that first set. You see him move before Armstrong moves right here. He's got his kick in the ground before Armstrong gets a foot in the ground. I think last play, it was at least even with Armstrong and Milada getting off the ball at the same time, and that's a huge emphasis that shouldn't be overlooked in a lot of reps that go awry, is if you're winning off the ball. Obviously, it's a simple part of the game, but it's always a huge part of the outcome of a rep. So I think Milada does a good job here. With him being off the ball faster, he's just in a better spot when he goes to make contact with Armstrong. We saw last time how he opened up his hips at this point of contact here and didn't get enough on the outside or inside shoulder pad of Armstrong to deflect him up the field. This time he lands that outside arm to the typical aiming point, which would be on the outside pec of the rusher here, and he's able to, with that hand being more accurate, he's able to get more power generated to deflect Armstrong up the field. So I think he wins, first of all, with this set here. He's super square like he was last rep, except he doesn't open up his hips like a gate. This one here, and is able to land that outside arm and deflect Armstrong up the field. So definitely improved on some of the things that went wrong in the first rep, and you're able to see those here on this rep here. So good rep by Milada, recovering after giving up that sack, and the Eagles do a good job executing on this quarterback draw play here, and Jalen Hurts actually ends up getting into the end zone. And I really want to highlight the interior three of the Eagles offensive line, plus Saquon Barkley. They all do a great job executing their blocks at a high level, and it ends up leading to a score. I think Mekhi Becton does a good job selling this pass at first, and then the 2-eye helps him out a bit by playing back into that backside B gap, and Becton just has to seal him off there and prevent him from being able to make a play on the quarterback. So he gets just enough there that he's not able to impact the play. Cam Jurgens does a good job too. He's now in the game after Landon Dickerson had to go down after battling through that first half with the banged up knee. He actually executes this block working up to this play side backer, number 11, by skip pulling. And I was trying to think of some of the reasons he might have done this. The simplest explanation for me would be maybe wanting to stay square out of your stance on this play, just to be sure that maybe this three might cross your face and you want to be more square to be able to give your quarterback a chance to play off the block. But it's an interesting technique to execute this from the center position, and it ends up working out for Juergens here. And then I think Tyler Steen does a good job here. I think Eagles fans should be excited about him stepping into that starting left guard role. He does a good job staying square and getting a fit on this three technique here, and then as he goes to play that play side B gap, torques him out and really opens up some space for Hurts to run through. So good job torquing him out, driving him horizontally, and opening up a gap there. And then Saquon Barkley inserting for Frankie Louvu here does a great job hitting him with his right shoulder as he's inserting. The play hits right off of the left side, and great job by Saquon here. We've highlighted some big blocks that he's had in this game. Controversial, maybe. Maybe some thought it was holding on that pass protection rep, but he does. There's no disputing this year. This is a great block by Saquon, and it springs Jalen Hurts, and he's able to get in the end zone and score a touchdown. So great play by the Eagles on the draw. All right, the Eagles are running a toss play against this Eagle front, and it ends up going for about 5 yards here. St. Just is the free hitter on the play and ends up making the tackle along the sideline. But I want to focus in on Tyler Steen here. He's slotted to step into the Eagles starting right guard vacancy with Mekhi Becton signing with the Chargers this offseason. And Steen has started a few games for the Eagles throughout his first 2 years, and I think he's been really solid while he's been in at guard. And I'm excited to see what he's able to do as the starter for a full season this year. And I want to highlight him on this play. His responsibility is to reach this 4-eye here, and I think he does a really good job executing a pivot crossover technique and reaching that 4-eye pretty easily. He gets a huge advantage off of the snap, getting off the ball quickly. And then, like I said before, that pivot crossover where he picks up and puts down that outside foot, crosses over with the inside foot, and then regains that square position on the outside. And he's squared up to the outside pec of that 4-eye. And I think that's a really good job by Steen right there, executing that technique and then driving the defender, the 4-eye, vertically up the field. Like I said before, the play ends up getting stopped due to the free hitter making a tackle, but this is just an encouraging rep and exciting to see out of Tyler Steen in the NFC Championship game. He's going to be a first-time starter come this fall, and reps like that, if he's able to replicate that a lot and be stout in protection, the Eagles' offensive line will be just fine and produce as high of a level as they did this season. So good rep by Tyler Steen there, encouraging stuff. All right, this is going to be the last play we're going to end up watching here. The Eagles pick up a huge gain on the ground here on this zone play. Saquon gets stopped at the 1-yard line. The Eagles are already up 2 scores. They would eventually punch this in and go up 3 scores, essentially putting the game away early in the fourth quarter. And the Eagles' offensive line does a fantastic job of adjusting to pressure here. They're running another zone play with 2 tight ends on the backside. It's pretty condensed front and box, again, just due to there being 2 tight ends at the line of scrimmage. And they're going to get play side pressure from Frankie Louvu here. This end is going to cross Jordan Mailata's face and play that B gap inside. And you'll see how well the front side of this play adjusts to this blitz. It's essentially going to end up being 3 for 3, just usually with the leverage of this linebacker being outside the box. This front side is going to have their antennas up for some type of movement, and you kind of get a glimpse of it pre-snap too. So Juergens' responsibility is going to be this 3-tech because of the movement that they end up getting. He takes that on solo as the end crosses Mailata's face, and Milada picks up Louvu on this play. So they do a really good job adjusting to that on the play side. Steen does a good job driving that defensive end vertically, too, once he makes contact with him. And he's the closest one that gets he's the one that gets closest to making a tackle on Saquon, but I think Steen getting some of that vertical displacement on 99 prevents him from putting himself in a better position to be able to tackle Saquon Barkley, which is a hard task to do in the first place. So I think the front side of this play does a really good job adjusting to this play side pressure. Milada has a great tempo there, probably knowing something's up. He plays it really slow. Steen's eyes snap out as soon as that 3 tech crosses his face, and Juergens takes a good angle to that 3, and is also, his leverage is also helped by him working back, and then does a good job sealing him off backside. Becton's the head up nose almost leaks back play side to make a play there, but Becton gets just enough there, and then Elaine Johnson's just adjusting back to Bobby Wagner, lagging back here, probably moving with that motion by Devontae Smith there. But overall, just a good job adjusting the pressure by the Eagles here, especially on that play side, and they pick up a huge chunk on the ground. The Eagles executed pretty well all game, including this play, and it's no surprise that they were kind of able to replicate some of the good things they did here in the Super Bowl. Great game by the Eagles, great season by the Eagles, and it's really fun getting to go back and watch these playoff games.